Scared of letting my daughter down, letting my pops down, letting my mama down, letting the people down, was lifting the people up.
I think when I think about leads and lead generations, I always think in threes. So I'm trying to figure out how to make sure that people can understand, follow my process, and really hone in on something that's special to them. So here's the thing, is I have to be systematic about my lead generation. Every single day of the week, there's something different that I do, and I really focus on one type of client. So for example, on Mondays, I'm focusing on VIPs. Now a VIP to us is really, I'm looking for 25 people that are going to send me 10 deals a year. Those VIP and very highly sought after leads that come from a good source convert at about 80%. So think about that. Let's say you even get 25 leads a month and you convert at 80%. That's going to change your life and change your business significantly. So Mondays, always focus on that. You're trying to build this list of 25 people, but you have to ask them for business. Now on Tuesdays, I'm looking at current clients. This is anybody that is in the car shopping, anybody whose house is on the market, they need updates. This is a good time to have lengthy conversations. Wait until that day and say, hey, now that we've been 7 days on the market, 14, 21, whatever it is, how often you want to do some updates, this is the greatest time to let them know within the appointment or even after the appointment, hey, here's when we talk and here's the day that we can have very lengthy conversations. Now, on Wednesdays, we're looking at hot and cold leads. This is anybody I've talked to, anybody that has been interested in the past, and anybody that has had some sort of interest that I can spend time on the phone with them on those days and say, hey, I think I've got something on the market. What are you doing on Saturday? What's your schedule look like this week? How are things going? Do you need to refresh your docs with the lender? Whatever that is, these are good conversations to say, hey, you know what? I want to make sure, I didn't forget about you. Then on Thursdays, we're doing all database calls. Now, I'm very fortunate at this point in my career to have a huge database, and there's over, I think, 1,700 people that I'm pretty sure would answer my phone if I were to call. But the only way that I can do that is if I'm doing that every Thursday. So even though I've got this huge database, typically I'll start with past clients and say, hey, can I do anything for you? Do you need anything? But then there's also future clients that really, honestly, some of them haven't even ever sent me a deal. Now, these are the same people that say, hey, they're on my same team. I've sold their neighbor's house across the street. I've sold their grandpa, their sister, whoever it is. Those are great database calls to make. So I really prioritize those in that order. Then on Friday's very, very important. So we've had the whole week to warm up our voice and speak elegantly and have really good conversations. That's why cold calling on Friday is very important. Now, not typical cold calls, even though you can call, let's say, vacant houses, out-of-state owners. There's a long list of certain phone calls you can make, but really what the cold calling is to make sure that your Monday calls stay full. So this is really called top grading. You're going to have this big list and go, you know what, that guy hasn't sent me a lot, or maybe I haven't done a lot for that guy, or maybe I'm not willing to take care of that person the same way that I used to, relationship-wise. And so you need to be filling those buckets constantly. Now, the other part about leads and how I really schedule my day is that there are a long list of tasks that I need to do on any given day. And really this outline is to make sure that I can see 15 people face-to-face per week. And that is sitting down, having a good conversation, adding some sort of value to them. Now, break breads with 5 different groups or 5 different people a week, and I'm really, really good at that. I believe that that's where money is made. That's where you can really, really generate a future relationship of that's when you make plans, and this is how we build our business together. This is what I'm working on. This is what I can help you work on. Then, how do we even get those appointments of face-to-face or breaking bread? That's 75 phone calls, outbound phone calls per week. This is 75, hey, this is Tyler Lopez. I've been thinking about you and I'd like to see you. Now, then there's 2 events per week, which all of these phone calls, all it is to get in front of people. So when I'm thinking about lead generation and how I get in front of people, it's a constant. Every single day, I'm thinking about how am I going to get in front of somebody. Now, once you get a really good system and you're thinking about what comes next, it's very easy to plan your whole schedule for the week or even in the month. Typically, when the first week of the month, I'm looking to see anything that I can involve myself in for the entire month, and then I can put those on my events. Then I'm thinking, hey, who haven't I talked to in a long time? And I'm putting those all on my VIPs. These are all to-do lists. It's all longhand. But when I'm thinking about lead generation, first and foremost, it has to be systematic. Now, but it also has to be intentional. And the most important part between any of this is it has to be non-negotiable. Now, your number one job in real estate is to go out and prospect for the people that you know that you can help at the highest level. Now, when I hear people say, oh, I prospect and I'm making my calls, and you're focusing on selling too much. Now, it's assumed when you have your real estate license that you already know all this. You don't really have to prove yourself until you get in front of them. That's when the real conversation happens. Otherwise, people just on the phone and they're challenging you, and it's a very big struggle. But if it's systematic, you can get through it and get over it really, really quick. But it also has to be non-negotiable because you're not going to win them all. Now, even as good as I believe that I am, and I am pretty good, that even my cold ad conversion is around 26%. Now, the national average is about 7 to 8 if you are the greatest and the best real estate agent in the world. Now, that's great and that is perfect, but it does cost money and it is expensive. So if I get a chance to spend money on leads, I would rather spend them on the people that I'd like to spend time with and teach them how to sell me. So as I wrap this part up, I think the most important part you can learn about any of this is that your job is to teach people how to sell you. Stop thinking about getting leads and prospecting as one individual person. If they don't buy, then you're out money or you're out whatever. Think about this as a broad spectrum. Think about this as a long career of, hey, I need to see how many people I can get to care about me a lot. Often they'll pick up my phone and they understand that my job is to make sure that I stay successful for them. And in counterpart, if they can help me with that, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure they're also successful too. I believe that I'm a master of time management. This is where my career really, really took off, and it became a lot of fun. It's not the willingness just to say no, and it's not the willingness to say, hey, I'm too busy. But you should always have appointments. So the only reason that I'm even ever talking about time management is because I had such a big breakthrough when I decided that one day a coach really, really hammered into me. He said, Tyler, you are all over the place. You're doing so much, but I'm not sure you're actually accomplishing anything. So I go, so what do you want me to do? And he goes, every 15 minutes, I want you to use this one sheet of paper and put down just one important thing that you did every 15 minutes. And I did this for about 4 days, and I hated it. I hated it because I saw how much time I was wasting. So then he gave me all the formulas and all the critical elements to how you get paid per hour, because I'm all commission and 1099 and yada, yada, yada. And I realized how much money I was wasting and how much money I left on the table, which was way more important. So maybe start there. Every 15 minutes, time block yourself and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. Then you can analyze and you can fix it. Now, I also have something called a perfect week. Now, it's very, very detailed, and it really keeps me online of like, hey, here's where I am every 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. But here's also when I have appointments open. Here's what I do at what time. And that's not only to keep myself accountable, but it's also building this reputation around myself that my time is super, super important. And it's really, really, really streamlined a lot of the things that I do just in my business or in my career, because I don't believe that everything should take as long as most corporate jobs think it should be. I think one of the biggest fallacies in career-wise and life-wise is when you're getting paid a salary, you're trained to do one certain job and you're trained to do it well. And let's say 4 or 5 years go along and you're still doing that exact same job and same technique, and it takes you the exact same time. So when I'm thinking about some of the stuff and I'm trying to get people on my page of saying, hey, our time's important, why don't we use it really, really at the highest level so we can go out and have fun together? That's really pushing them to get a lot better at their job so that we can move on and have fun together. A lot of my perfect week even has, hey, here's when I work late. Here's when I go out and hang out with my friends. Here's when I have break breads. And it's very systematically organized in that, hey, I'm having breakfast at this place at 7:45 tomorrow. Can you meet me there? I'd love to see you. Hey, I'm having drinks at this place at 5 o'clock for happy hour. I'd love to see you there. So really, when people are talking about time management, you just have to be overly aware and make sure that if you do have a schedule and you want to follow it, you have to follow it no matter what, 80% of the time. And I understand things get in the way, but it cannot be deleted. It can be moved, but it cannot be removed. It's really important that you feel accomplished in any given day. Otherwise, you're just kind of letting yourself down. Then all of a sudden, you're having these purposeful meetings. You're really staying on task. And you know what? When you're looking for big clients and you're looking for people to really respect you and build that VIP list I was talking about, when you manage your time perfect, it's what I found to be the most respectful thing that you can do, not only for you, but for the other people that you're hanging out with. You know, if somebody shows up to a meeting 20, 30, 40 minutes late, that really shows you their level of respect towards you, but also vice versa if you were to do the same thing. So I know it's silly, but 10 minutes early is on time, but that's really to prepare and get in the right headspace. So even on listing appointments. I'll just stand down the road, sit in my car, start studying the file, knowing their names, what's important. We have something called an All About You form. If that's filled out, what are their dogs' names, their kids' names, and I use that time wisely, but I never go in and until exactly our appointment time, because moving forward, they're relying on me to not only manage their money, but to manage their emotions. And I don't believe that you can personally do that unless you manage your time. Marketing and branding, they're two extremely different things, but they do go hand in hand because it really signifies the effectiveness of either one. Now, branding to me, and I know this isn't the definition, but what I have to think about branding, and I've created a lot of brands that are really, really cool, it's really around the emotion that it gives you. So let's say you see a truck driving by and you see some famous plumber on it. Now, the idea there is that you're not going to see that truck and go, I hate those guys. The idea is always, hey, I've heard really good things about those guys, and whether or not you've had a chance to prove that to them, your brand is what they're going to expect. And to me, it's super, super important. Anybody that works on our team, they know that our brand can be tainted so quick. And if our brand is tainted, then none of our marketing works. Why spend a bunch of marketing and advertising money to make up for something that maybe it's not can't be savable, but sometimes, honestly, you do have to start over. You know, when we're thinking about marketing, it's how you push that brand. It's not how you live that brand. It's what the benefit that people are going to get from your brand. And if you don't have something that's respectful and people recognize, how are they ever going to believe that your sale or your sell on your product from your brand is ever going to work? I think one of the more important things here too is that when you're building a business, to build a really good brand, you have to build it from the end game. So really, what's the big goal here? And why that's important, for one reason, is that if you're having a bunch of people work for you and working for the brand and working for the company, and they don't actually know where this company's going, it's really, really, really difficult to build culture and a vision around that. People need to know what they're on the bus for and where that bus is going, rather than just saying, hey, we're taking a bus ride on Friday and we'll figure it out on the way. I don't like surprises. I don't like those certain types of pop-up meetings and this sort of stuff, because I respect my time and my marketing and my branding, that I have to protect myself in every single way. Now, when we're talking about advertising, when you have a good brand, advertising comes really, really easy. When you don't have a brand and you don't know how to advertise and you don't know what to provide, it's really difficult to get the message through of like, I'm not really sure what we're doing, who we are, where we're going, but you like me, right? That might bring a couple deals, but it's not going to bring a career. Now, the backbone of longevity within a company and in a business is to die hard with your brand. You have to love it. And this has nothing to do with logos. This has nothing to do with catchphrases and lines. It's when you even say the name of your company, you need people to say, those guys are going to be there for a long time. And the only way that you can do that is to really, really stand by it. Figure out how people say the name the right way. And again, this goes back to teaching people how to sell you and sell your company. Now, when you're really confident in what you do, the brand transforms into something that you really, really like. I'll admit, when we first made our logo for our company, I hated it. But not only was I in a rush, but I also didn't think it mattered that much. And the cool thing is, and the only reason I know that all of this works, is that I took our brand and I took our logo and went, I'm going to make that the best it can possibly be. And I continually work on that. Now I think it's really, really recognizable and I'm really happy with it. And it's multi-purpose too. We're never going to change it. We had an opportunity to change it. We're not going to, because I'm so happy and so proud of our brand that at this point, that's what's giving us longevity. I hope to pass down our brand and be able to sell our company, which honestly, I think that should be kind of the goal for most anybody. But think about your brand as, what do people say about you behind your back? What are people going to say at your funeral? That is your brand. Now, you can have your personal brand, your company brand, your media brand. It doesn't matter. Think about branding, very different than marketing, but know that if you don't have a good brand, your marketing's always going to be sloppy.
Afraid of giving up, afraid of not doing enough. I'm afraid of change, I'm afraid of love. I'm scared of commitment and all the above. Afraid of